Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Let's come in and get situated, get comfortable, but don't get too comfortable, because we're going to stand up and sing a couple of songs to start the service. We're going to get our energy up, get it ready to go for a great service today. We've got a great event coming after. There we go. That's one way to do it.
There's one way to do
All right,
it,
so welcome to the sanctuary at Unity of Music City, everyone. Hello. Oh, good morning. All right, there you are. All right, let's all stand up and sing a couple of songs. I'm going to start with Releasing and then Letting Go and Letting God. There was a time in my life, thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here. Say it again. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here. One more time. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. That's right. All right. Let go and let God.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Some days I do, some days I don't, some days I will, some days I won't, some days I sink, some days I float, some days I get real smart, live by this quote. Go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge. Let my worries go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge. And let my worries go. Let me play one. Some days I'm up, some days I'm down, Some days I smile, some days I frown when it's too cold outside. Some days I work, some days I play, some days I get real smart. And here's what I'll say: let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge. Let my worries go. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God be in charge. Let my worries go. Let go and let God be in charge. And let my worries go. See you later, Snow. All right, thank you so much. Please be seated.
All right,
Turn it
Ryan,
over
I'm
to Reverend
interrupting
Deb.
for just a moment. This isn't normally the time I come up, but today we're doing a little bit of leadership appreciation. Last week we appreciated our executive council, and this week I want to show some love to our leadership council, which are the various leaders of ministries in our church. I'm going to do that really later, but I needed to do one now. This is just a token because I could never, ever purchase a gift that would come anywhere close to representing the love and appreciation that we have for the leadership here. These are the folks who make things happen. These are the folks who fill up the calendar and have opportunities for you outside of Sunday morning. So I have a lot of different little necklaces that have different little pendants with different keywords and meanings, and I've decided to let Spirit be in charge of that, so they're going to pick whatever one works for them. But before they go, one of the most amazing jobs in any church, and which any church leadership is grateful to have, is someone who just takes care of the youth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we have someone who goes above and beyond that, who engages them and teaches them and helps them to start their own little spiritual awakening. So Stephanie Buppert, come up here, please. You get to be the first. Well-being. Oh. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
Thanks, Steph. We appreciate you.
We haven't slept yet.
Right. And now they can go, I believe.
All right, let's, before we dismiss our youth, let's say the youth blessing for the year. Youth of Music City, we see you, we love you, and we bless you. You're a shining star for all to see what your life can truly be. Thank you. All right. I had some inspiration for that, yes.
Morning.
Begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is, we are all taking this adventure trip together. We are on an individual and collective adventure trip in the spiritual community. Each of us is a wilderness that is only partly explored and mapped. We cannot know what we will find along the way, but we can expect to find some great and moving beauty, some spectacular experiences, as well as life and challenging ones. Hello. You are heard. And you are embraced. Thank you. Any day, we'll have a mixture of various feelings and experiences, but we can rest in the knowing that there will always be pleasant and fun rest stops along the way. This spiritual community will guarantee that. Unity of Music City can't provide a map of uncharted territory, but it can provide a toolkit for survival in the wilderness. It can help us orient ourselves that when there are no familiar landmarks along the way, and help to learn and grow from the experience. The more time we spend in this wilderness, exploring the mystery of living, the more comfortable we become with it. And the more we embrace this mystery, the greater appreciation we have for its unique beauty and the gifts it brings to our lives.
Goodness.
Now please repeat these affirming statements after me. There is nowhere I can be that I am not meant to be. There is nowhere I can be that I'm not meant to be. Trust the journey. I trust the journey of my life, and I know that everything happens for my good. To trust the journey of my life, and I know that everything happens for my good. I am motivated by my experiences, and my challenges lead to my successes. I am motivated by my experiences, and my challenges lead to my successes. And so it is.
So it is. Welcome to Unity of Music City, everyone. We are accepting donations for a new soundboard. Or if you have one laying around, 24 track soundboard, you can just, if you'd like to bring that in, you can write it off your taxes, right? Well, I want to say on behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. This is Jackson. That's Candy. We want to welcome you to this sanctuary. This is a place for authentic transformation, which means that we are here for you to support you on your spiritual journey. You have valuable information that you can bring to this spiritual community, and we want you to be a part of it so that we can learn from you and we can learn from each other. So thank you for coming today. And we have a lot of stuff going on today, so let's go ahead and start with some announcements.
Always want to keep you surprised, right? Okay. Good to see everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey, Unity.
Hey,
Smiling
hey.
faces. Good to see you. So announcements for today. You guys are looking fabulous up here. Sounding fabulous.
We're snow bunnies.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, coordinated. I texted Ryan this week and said, you know what? I got the swing wide the door. I mean, it was like stuck in my head. He's like, thanks, earworm now. So, but, yeah, some good choices today. Letting it go. Yeah. All right, so announcements for today. We continue working with Save Paw on more ways to get involved with them in our local community. Volunteers can use the QR code to get to the Save Paw site for meal volunteers. Please also remember to bring in unexpired food items for us to create food. And please see Sarah Esper with any questions. So thank you again each time for doing that, Sarah. It's such a great project. Potluck lunch. This is good news as well. Today, following the service. Hope everybody's staying around for that. Brought some yummies. Community Visioning Sunday today following the potluck. A discussion about what we would like to see happening at our church. Let's co-create our community together. Everyone welcome. And Frank, thanks again for, I guess, heading that up. Appreciate you. Book Club Series, Build the Life You Want, The Art and Science of Getting Happier by Arthur Brooks and Oprah Winfrey. Mondays beginning January 15th through February 19th at 6:30 via Zoom. The book can be purchased on Amazon. Class facilitated by Deborah Champion, $30 suggested donation. And Deborah said that the link is going to come out in Tuesday's email. No, last week's email.
It's there.
Okay, there is a link that you can go to, and there's a calendar that you can click on for the date. Church calendar. And did I get that correct then? So the email, the link, church calendar. Okay, and if you have any further questions, there she is.
Or you can email the church at unityofmusiccity@gmail.com.
All right, there we go. So, vibrational vision boarding. Visioning for the year with Aubrey, Saturday, January the 20th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Love donation for that, and Aubrey has additional announcements for that.
So Saturday morning, we're just going to be gathering and asking ourselves the question, what are we creating in this coming year? What are we creating in our relationships with our beings? What do we want to feel? No art experience necessary. Don't worry. Some people get freaked out when I'm not artistic. Don't worry about any of that. Just come and materials will be provided, and we'd love to see you there.
Sorry, John, you didn't get that kind of greeting, but that's we'll shake hands later.
He'll take a hug.
Yeah, well, hug's good. So great stuff going on. Movement, mindfulness, and soul art. Join Steph and artist Carrie Dubourg on Saturday, January the 27th, 10:45 to 12:30 for movement, mindfulness, and soul art. Experience mindful movement through chair yoga, then discover the timeless reflection of your soul's nature through a self-portrait using mixed media and collage. Ages 13 to infinity. Cost is $40 and flexible pricing options are available. So please see Steph for that. Healing Arts Zoom meeting. That's Tuesday, January the 30th from 6 to 7 p.m. Membership orientation class will be beginning late this January and ending early March. And the membership is open to adults 18 years and older for in-person and/or remote attendees. Applications can be found on our website and should be submitted, please, by Sunday, January the 21st, so the class schedule can be determined by the group. See Valerie Dennison, right back here waving, if you have questions, or email the church office. And I love to see your smile every time I see you. Thank you for what you do. And it'd be a great thing here. All activity or meeting links and contact numbers can be found on the church website, the weekly happenings, Google Calendar, or you can always email the church. And I'm going to hand it back over to you guys. And I'm glad this didn't do a weird thing. So that's all good. Oh, okay. The full moon gathering. Okay. Yeah, I just went from... Well, after she left, walked off, yeah. Full moon gathering Thursday, the 25th at 7 p.m. And please join us here at Wren Road for that wolf moon. Always a fantastic experience with those full moon gatherings. So I'd like to see everybody there and warm up by that fire. All right.
All right, well, it's time to sing again. Let's do our monthly mantra. And for those of you who don't know, the monthly mantra is a song that we sing every Sunday at about this time that really reinforces our principles, our who we are statements, and just talks about who we are as a spiritual community. So I'm going to highlight the second verse today, and it says, I will not get caught up in other people's stuff. Keeping my focus for me is quite enough. When I'm feeling cornered, I just get still and breathe and remember who I am and all that I believe. So let's stand up and sing Stand in My Truth. I'm not gonna give in to this world's misery. I've learned a lesson that always sets me free. In any situation, best thing I can do is to know who I am and let that light shine through. I'm gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna stand in my truth and let my troubles go. Gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. I will not get caught up in other people's stuff. Keeping my focus for me is quite enough. When I'm feeling cornered, I get still and breathe and remember who I am and all that I believe. I'm gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna stand in my truth and let my troubles go. Gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. Let me hear you sing this one. I'm gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna stand in my truth and let my troubles go. I'm gonna stand in my truth, stand in my truth. I'm gonna whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. I'm gonna whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. One more time. I'm gonna whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. Make it so. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You know how you hear a song 100 times and then you hear something new in it, right? That 100th time, like, it's always a sign of a good song to me. And what really stood out to me, I've sung that song and heard that song 72,468 times in my life. And what really stood out to me was the line, I'm going to whisper a prayer to claim my power to make it so. And I think that is a beautiful reminder that we don't have to wail and moan and rent our clothes in two and all that stuff. We just have to whisper a prayer. And the divine is as close as that. So I invite you to close your eyes and get comfortable in your chair. Take this opportunity to really let go. I invite you into the space where we are one. Everything that is not oneness can be set aside. Our worries, our concerns, our individual sense of identity, just figuratively open your hand. Release your grip on your sense of who you are. And step into the truth of who you are. Your sacred self. Your divine presence. It is in this space of divine presence that oneness exists. In this space of divine presence, we are not separated by our persons. Who we are does not stop at the edge of our skin. In that space of oneness, our energy is all swarming together. There is no visual image that adequately expresses the oneness. But I invite you for this moment to feel your connection to everyone in this room. Just this room for right now. In the place that really matters, there is no separation. It doesn't matter if you don't know everyone's name. Their name is of no consequence. Just take a moment to be one with this spiritual community in the stillness, in the silence. It may have been that you felt something a whole lot like love. Because when we are aware of our oneness, love is all there is. And out of that love springs joy and peace and freedom. Mother, Father, God, thank you for this spiritual community. Thank you for who we are to each other in this dynamic world of comings and goings. Thank you for each one of these precious beings, blessings to the world they move in. Blessings to our community. Blessings to the world. And so it is.
I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. You're a blessing to the world. We're a blessing to the world.
You would almost think I knew what song he was going to sing. What beautiful music this morning. What a beautiful energy in this space this morning already. I'm feeling it, that's for sure. I'm going to take a few moments to continue appreciating our leadership council. There's a whole shoebox full of them, so I'm going to go as fairly quickly as possible, but that does not diminish the level of appreciation that I have for these people and the work that they do, the heart that they bring to the mission that we have in this spiritual community. It simply wouldn't exist without these people, right? So I'm going to bring them up. They're going to pull a little, like their own special thing, as I explained before with Stephanie. And the first person I want to appreciate is someone who has probably been around this church about as long as anybody, Charlotte Palmer, who is our prosperity, finance, money. I wish I had $1 for every time I've heard, Charlotte, can you show us the budget for this upcoming year? Charlotte is not indispensable. She tries to make herself not indispensable, but she comes darn close to being it anyway. What'd you get there? Oh yeah, that's good. You got the snake. You're an outdoorsy person. You'll love that. I love you, dear. Thank you so much. Yes, Charlotte. The next person has been around almost as long. Susan Hurt, where are you? There we are. Susan Hurt does hospitality and welcome, the welcome team. And Susan is one of those people who just, like, she just embodies the heart of service. You know, I look to her as a model for how to be in service. As a model. Thank you, Vanna.
How about the dragon?
Dragon, Year of the Dragon. That is an auspicious omen for this year. The next person I want to bring up is also on our executive council. She's the lead of our Keepers of the Sacred Circle, Amy Anderton. Would you please come up? Can you make it out of the... Amy Anderton has been, I mentioned this last week when I was talking about the executive council, and I mentioned that I know when I go to a meeting where Amy is there, I know that love is present. And she brings that energy into everything that we do here. So let's see what you get. Balance. I love you. The next person I have on my list here is not here today. I call him Sound and Grounds, Tom Willett. Tom Willett, and yeah. Tom, you may not realize this, but for 2 summers now, Tom Willett has just come and mowed the lawn. And this is a big lawn, and is just taking care of so much. This next person is in charge of so much, not the least of which is like redoing this window, which is always so beautiful. And this morning he said to me, after winter, I'm not sure what to put up there, but this is the perfect symbol of interfaith ministry to me. So Frank Castellano, my dear, is in charge of healing arts. Yes. And I know you love a good draw. I know you do. What'd you get? Oh, the Tree of Life. Tree of Life. Thank you.
Show everybody your t-shirt.
Yes. God's love is fully inclusive. Absolutely. Absolutely. The next person does so much stuff, but what she's down here for is being in charge of our membership. Valerie Dennison. Yes. Valerie also does so much work with our website and with our process and our forms. And let me tell you something. If you need something done with great detail, this is the woman to do it for you, because she takes care of details. And I always heard that was God was in the details. That's right. So here we go. Yes. Vision.
Harmony, vision. Oh.
Vision. I know. Thank you. I already mentioned Stephanie. She's on my list. The next person took over for our Sacred Community Action. Sarah Esper. Where's Sarah? Sarah, come on up. Oh, there you are. Spiritual rebirth. Booyah. Wait a minute. I feel like I need to do. Boo. Be healed. I have always wanted to do that. All right. The next person is on the leadership council is one of our members at large, but she does so much more, including inside, took charge of the painting of this room, is my go-to person for full moon gatherings, Deborah Champion. She does our group meditations, and she's doing our book club, which starts tomorrow, correct?
Yes, tomorrow.
All right.
Power.
Whew. The next person is a new member at large, but she has already begun to meet with the Leadership Council, and I want to recognize Tammy C. Where's Tammy? Tammy. I love you, dear. What you got? Celtic Heart. All right. Another member at large, he's not here today, but Benjamin Bork-Wells, who is, and I'll make sure that he gets his, he is an important part of our leadership council. And then finally, oh no, wait, I knew there was one. See, this is what there we go. I had jumped right past it. How could you forget him? Ryan Gill does the music.
Ooh.
Direction.
Direction.
Direction. And I wanted to, I knew when I was making my list, I'm like, who am I missing? Who am I missing? And I was like, Ryan? You're missing Ryan? The last person I want to gift today and to point out to you is not on our leadership council, but does so much, and that is Crystal Lyles. Crystal, if you would come on up here. Crystal is the person who I send my PowerPoint to every week, and she takes care of everything. And when I get here, she, by the way, just so you know, is the first person here on Sunday mornings. And she's getting things opened and ready to go, and we so appreciate you. What do we have there? Protection. Protection. And I did not have the opportunity last week, but I want you to prepare yourself. I want you to get yourself ready, take everything off your lap, to give the appropriate level of appreciation to our outgoing president, Benita Maddox. Let me tell you, folks, something. For 3 years, you may be seated, that's fine, unless you just want to stand. For 3 years, I firmly believe this is a true statement. I don't know that this spiritual community would exist today if it was not for this woman. And for what she managed to do during some of the most incredible challenges any organizational leader has ever faced. A pandemic, a longtime senior minister retiring, the selling of a building, the purchase of a new building. Let me tell you something. This is often a thankless job. This was a job for the last 3 years, and she did it without reservation, without hesitation, and I'm so deeply appreciative. I know that your mission is to build one world. I bought this. There was nothing that I could do except to give you tarot cards because you're going to need some direction. And then Frank brought these in for you, so I wanted to make sure that you got those as well, and to know how deeply we appreciate. We could never demonstrate completely how much we appreciate you.
I want to say that,
Here.
looking out and seeing everybody here, this is so important. This little ministry is so important for every one of you. That's why it's important. An important thing.
Thank you so much. Let me turn that on. I want to start with a poem today. This is a poem written by Dorothy S. Hunt. She is a student of Adyashanti, who is the Zen teacher in California that I quote quite often. And she herself has become a teacher of Zen and non-dualism, Advaita Vedanta. And this is the poem. Do you think peace requires an end to war? Or tigers eating only vegetables? Does peace require an absence from your boss, your spouse, yourself? Do you think peace will come some other place than here? Some other time than now? In some other heart than yours? Peace is this moment without judgment. That is all. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Peace is this moment without thinking that it should be some other way, that you should feel some other thing, that your life should unfold according to your plans. Peace is this moment without judgment. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Isn't that beautiful? So, I thought last week went well, didn't you? I enjoyed last week. Went very well. We're going to do it again at some point. Not today, but at some point we're going to do it again. And what was so interesting was, every time we raise a question or an answer, and by the way, they're both the same in the world of spirit, right? Because what they're really all doing is simply pointing in a direction. And every question that was posed was pointing us in a direction that we needed to look. And every idea that came through, every thought, was a new pointing. Look here. Think about this. Consider these things. And one of the things that I knew that it went well by some of the comments that people made to me afterwards, and so many people came up to me and said, if we'd had more time, this is the question I was going to ask. Or this was on my heart, but I didn't know. I just didn't say anything. But this is what I wonder. This is what I think. And one of the questions that was posed to me, and I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks talking about some of the things that I heard and reacting, because in the moment you get a certain download, but when you let it simmer for a little while, you get further information, right? So one of the questions that I got last week was this: how do I tell the difference between my intuition and paranoia? How do I tell the difference between my intuition and paranoia? And I had the same response that you did in that moment. I went, ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. And the first thing that came to me in the moment, my initial reaction was that paranoia is mind-based and intuition is heart-based, spirit-based, right? It comes from a kind of different place. But of course, when we got a lot of voices just bouncing around inside of us, sometimes it's hard to know where those voices are coming from, right? Now, true paranoia, forgive me, John Martins can correct me if I'm wrong, true paranoia is a diagnosis, right? Real paranoia is a mental health challenge that's pretty significant. I had a student several years ago, probably 10 years ago now, I had a student who I learned later had been diagnosed paranoid, schizophrenic. I didn't know that at the time. But she, in her world, the FBI had put cameras up everywhere to watch her, right? And so for her, when she went into Kroger, the security cameras had been placed by the FBI to watch her. Right? That's a significant, that requires a doctor's care, medication, treatment, right? That's what true paranoia is. But sometimes when we talk about it, we talk about our paranoia, we talk about being paranoid about something. But I'm not sure that we really are using the right word there, because paranoia is kind of an unreasonable, irrational fear of something. Like, I don't have any evidence, I don't have any reason, but I have fear around this thing. Sometimes we call rational caution paranoia, right? About 7 or 8 years ago, I was in a car wreck, pretty significant car wreck. It was not my fault, right? Everybody says that, but it truly was not my fault. I was going down a divided highway in southern Missouri. You know those highways that look like an interstate, but they're really just a state highway, 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going the other, a big median in the middle. And every now and then, a good old country crossroad, right? Some country road would come across. Usually in southern Missouri, it's something called VV or TT. I don't know why they name their roads that, but they do. They're state highways. And so someone who's coming across can just look and make sure no one's coming, go halfway, go to the median, look and make sure no one's coming, go across. And this man did not see me, apparently. And I was going 65, which is the speed limit, and he T-boned me, right? As I'm going 60, I saw it happening, I knew, I braced myself, spun the car around, didn't flip over, but spun it around, sent us off about 100 yards into a field. And also kind of flung my spirit outside of my body for about 2 weeks, right? It was just one of those. So because of that, to this day, every time I'm driving in a car or riding in a car, when I see a car coming up to a side street to meet the road that I'm on, I am paying exceptionally close attention to them. If they have a stop sign, and even if they're slowing down, I might slow down a little bit just to make sure they know that there's a stop sign there, right? Someone might say that I'm a little bit paranoid about that. But the truth is, I have an experience that has created in me a super cautious outlook around that situation, right? And I think that is sometimes what we talk about when we're identifying our paranoia. Let's say that someone in a relationship with you has broken trust. In whatever kind of way they've broken trust with you, right? And when someone breaks trust with you, it's almost like your survival instincts, your self-protection kicks in. Because you can have a broken trust with someone and still love them. Right? You can love them very deeply. But now you're dealing from a place of, at what point do I let go of my need to protect myself and fully embrace trust in you again? In whatever way that is. People can do that a lot of different ways. And so what we're really asking is that we want to know how to identify the voices that seem to come from within us. And we want to know how to make a decision. How do I know what's coming from my ego mind, my fear, and what's coming from my heart, trying to love me and protect me in that way? Both of those are trying to protect you, right? We're facing a decision. We're getting lots of input from inside. How do we know which voice to listen to? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. I want to go way back to the King James Bible, to the Old Testament, to the book of 1 Kings, chapters 18 and 19. And I want to tell you about a guy named Elijah. You've probably heard of him. He was a prophet, right? He comes from, we think that he lived about the 9th century before the Christian era, right? So about 800 to 900 years before the era of Jesus and before we started the Christian-based counting of the years, right? And he was a prophet of the Hebrew people. Now let me tell you what kind of world the Hebrew people lived in at that time. The Hebrew people were different because they were monotheistic, and overwhelmingly the world was polytheistic, right? Kind of like this. And so overwhelmingly the world was peopled by a lot of cultures that had many, many different gods. And the Hebrew people were monotheistic. And so that was their struggle. I mean, what a puny little religion, only one God. Come on. How do you talk people into this religion? And what had happened was that King Ahab who was the king of the region at that time, had pretty much all of the Hebrew prophets killed. And Elijah was like the only one left. And so Elijah is trying to figure out what to do, and he decides, hey, you know what? Let's have a showdown. let's have a showdown of the gods, right? And here's what we're going to do. All you prophets of Baal, right? Baal was a god of fertility and a god of weather, and he's probably up here on this right here somewhere, I don't know. But Baal was the god that Elijah was going to have a showdown with. And he said, listen, here's what I want you to do. All you prophets of Baal, I want you to go and I want you to build an altar. This is basically going to be like a Texas barbecue cook-off, all right? I want you to build an altar, build it as nice, however you want. I want you to go cut up a bull, right? We're going to butcher a bull, cut up a bull, put him on there for your burnt offering, your sacrifice. But don't build the fire, right? Don't build the fire. You guys chant and moan and dance and get into a frenzy and do a whirling dervish and whatever it is you're going to do. And you call upon your God to make the fire. And then I'll do the same. And we'll see who's got the real God, right? Now keep in mind that these stories are myths. And that doesn't mean they're true, and it doesn't mean they're false. That's not what it means. That they're foundational stories to a culture. And whether or not they're real is beside the point. It's what they symbolize to us, right? And so they did that. They built their altar. All the prophets of Baal danced around, prayed, beseeched, did all this kind of stuff. Nothing happened. They did it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Nothing happened. So then Elijah said, okay, it's my turn. And he built his altar, and he built it all just nice and whatever. And I guess he had a few guys who were helping him. And he cut up a bull, and he put it on there. And then he dug a trench around the altar. And then he sent his guys. He said, I want you to go down to Lowe's, and I want you to get those big 5-gallon blue Lowe's buckets. You know those big 5-gallon blue Lowe's buckets? It's what I brine my turkey in at Thanksgiving. And I want you to get a bunch of those. I want you to fill them with water, and I want you to come back and pour it over the altar. Just absolutely pour all this water over the altar. And they did that. And they said, I want you to fill your buckets again, second time. Do that. Pour it over the altar. They did it. And then he said, do it one more time. 3 is an interesting number, isn't it? Shows up a lot of times in Scripture. It's the number of completion. And so he goes and they fill it up the third time, and they drench the altar until it's like there's water in the trenches. It's completely soaked. And then Elijah just says a simple prayer. He whispers a prayer to claim his power to make it so, right? And the fire comes down and God sets it on fire. Well, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? All the people, by the way, they don't care. They don't care which God is real. They just want to tell us which God is real. We'll follow that God. That's fine. So all of the people now are like, oh, you have the true God, Elijah. And then here's what Elijah does, right? Here's what Elijah does. He says to all the people, he says, go and capture the prophets of Baal. 450 of them, and execute them. He has them all executed. Seems a little bit like an overreaction, doesn't it? Seems like when we listen to our paranoia, right? There's 450 of these guys. I have just shown them up. They have killed all the other prophets. I got to put them in their place. I got to put them in their place right now. Well, the queen, who is a woman you might have heard of, her name is Jezebel. Queen Jezebel hears about this, and she says, you send a message to Elijah, and you tell him that before the sun goes down tomorrow, I'm going to do the same to him, or my name's not Queen Jezebel. And so he gets this message, and Elijah goes out and runs into the wilderness, right? He's afraid for his life. And he goes running out as hard as he can, runs until he finally has nothing left. He falls asleep under a tree. I'm exhausted. I fall asleep under a tree. An angel comes. I'm getting to the point of this story in just a second here. Lots of moving parts. An angel comes and wakes him up, taps him on the shoulder and says, wake up, you need to eat. He wakes up. There's a little fire built, a little campfire built right next to his head. It's got a little bread baking right there on it and a jug of fresh water. And he wakes up and he eats and he goes back to sleep. Second time he goes back to sleep. And the angel wakes him up again and says, you need to wake up and eat. You need this for your long journey. Now, when we think about this metaphysically, anybody in here been on a long journey? Right? You've been on a long journey. And if we can make this, we can look at this as being symbolic of our spiritual journey. So he gets up and he eats a second time, and then he gets up and he walks for 40 days and 40 nights. 40, right? 40 days and 40 nights, which symbolically in the Bible means transformation, new life, a new beginning, right? Jesus goes into the desert, just some 30-year-old guy, has a, showdown with Satan or whomever, whoever's out there in the desert. And then 40 days later, he comes back and he starts ministering. Noah gets into a boat. It rains for 40 days and 40 nights. He comes out to a brand new world. Right? It is the number of transformation. Elijah walks for 40 days and for 40 nights until he comes to a place called Horeb, which means desolation, isolation. It's the same place, by the way, that Moses and the Israelites wandered around for 40 years, right? And he goes to this mountain and he finds a cave. We're getting to it. It's coming. Trust me. He finds a cave. He gets in the cave and he falls asleep for the third time. And then the angel comes and wakes him up and says, come out of this cave, stand on this mountain, and wait to hear from your God. So he comes out of the cave. He comes up in the mountain, stands on the mountain, and this is what it says. A great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks in pieces. This is not a little breeze. This is a tornado. It's breaking rocks in pieces. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. After the fire, a still small voice. Have you heard that phrase before? A still small voice. We talk about that a lot as kind of the voice of God, this quiet voice, but I don't know that I've ever really paid attention to the way that that's said, a still small voice. Now there's something about stillness and a voice that are inherently at odds with one another. Something has to move for a voice to make a sound. Something has to vibrate, right? Your vocal cords have to move. Something has to move. A still small voice. I thought maybe it might have something to do with the way it was translated into English from the ancient Hebrew. And so I went and looked for other translations. And one of the translations that claimed to be a little bit more spot on with what the Hebrew said rendered it as the sound of sheer silence. The sound of sheer silence. In other words, my friends, after the drama, the truth. After the fear, the knowing. After the paranoia, the intuition. Our paranoia, our fear, it comes in dramatic fashion. It rains down fire. It breaks the very rocks of our rationality. It says, here I am, you better pay attention to me, or you're going to suffer if you don't. Be very afraid. Do not get caught off guard. Paranoia is marked by constant vigilance. The way that I am constantly vigilant about cars coming that way, right? That's not coming from my spirit. It's coming from my past experience and my caution. It's coming from my head. It's coming from my ego that wants to protect this body. Paranoia is marked by a deep distrust and a persistent worry and conspiracy thinking, where intuition can come as just a flash of insight. Compelling, gentle. Sometimes you might say it came out of nowhere, but it lands gently. It lands gently. Paranoia urges action. Intuition is more associated with allowing. Paranoia emphasizes attachment, and intuition urges release. I just release my grip on this. Paranoia thrives on judgment. I have to make a judgment call right here, right now. And intuition allows space for what is to rise. Simone Wright is an author who wrote a book called First Intelligence, using the science and spirit of intuition. And she identifies 4 types of intuition. So that's what we're interested in. We're interested in identifying the intuition, stepping out of the paranoia. And her 4 types of intuition, first off, she talks about a gut instinct. We've all felt that before. I just had a gut instinct. I think even its very name, we can see it more attached to the physical, right? Our physical body. The attributes of that are safety and survival. We might walk into a room and go, nope, not going to stay here. We don't know why. We just feel it. It's a binary kind of intuition. Yes or no, stop or go, fight or flight, right? It's kind of that, where I'm getting a feeling. And then there's heart-based intelligence, which has attributes like courage and compassion and communication. This is what guides us to do what's appropriate in the situation. What helps us with connection with others and seeing beauty in ways that can't be described by words or rational thought. This is the kind of intelligence we have when we walk in nature, and we can't really tell you why that was a profoundly important experience for us, but we just know it was. And then there's visionary power, with attributes like our imagination and our visionary certainty and our creative possibility, which is a lot of energy we're steeped in right now. This afternoon, we're going to be steeped in this energy. Saturday with Aubrey's workshop is going to be all about this visionary type of intuition. This is where we deal with our extrasensory perception, which we all have. Anything that is outside of your senses that you are perceiving, right? Your expanded spiritual vision, lucid dreaming, seeing your life from a higher perspective. And then the 4th type, which is the type we're really interested in, is connection to universal wisdom. And the attributes of this are universal awareness and unity consciousness. Understanding our oneness with the divine, with each other, seeing unity in all of life. This is where we access sacred intelligence, which is not an exercise of the mind, by the way. Right? So this is the one we're really interested in. How do you hear the still small voice? This is the still small voice. How do you hear the still small voice in a storm when the storm is inside of you? That's why we go into the silence. That's why we set aside everything. We practice that. We practice doing that on a regular basis so that we can begin to carry that with us everywhere we go. And no matter what we're doing, we are living from that space. How do we get to that center? We set everything aside. We set aside judgment, expectation, identity. We release our attachment to everything so that everything that arises in our life is a precious gift. It might arise as the precious gift of a teacher, but it arises as a precious gift. We release attachment so we can experience true connection. So I think the real question behind this is not, how do I know the difference between my paranoia and my intuition? The real question is, which way is peace? Which way is peace? Right? We will listen to any voice that brings us peace, right? I'll follow whichever God brings the fire, whatever. I'll listen to whatever voice brings the peace. Can peace and judgment coexist? I don't think so. Is your identity vital to your spiritual freedom? Not really. Can you maintain expectations alongside true, sacred love? I don't think so. We go into the silence to quiet the other voices, and we spend time in our own sacred stillness so that the fire can die down. And after the fire, the still small voice. Now, we sometimes talk about spiritual fire. You know, one of my favorite quotes is Muji's quote, "Step into the fire of self-discovery. This fire will not burn you. It will only burn what you are not." Right? And so we go into the stillness to let that spiritual fire burn away what we are not, so that after the fire, we can hear the still small voice. Perhaps we should go into that stillness and simply pray, Spirit, bring the fire that burns away everything I am not. Take everything that is not peace and bring your still small voice of spiritual communication to me afterwards. Let it burn away. Let it burn away expectations and fears and judgments and attachment. And then the voice is very clear. Now, as long as you're in this body, you're going to carry around those other voices. But the more that we practice going into the stillness and communing with the still small voice, the more we're able to identify those voices of fear and paranoia. We know when we can say, hush now, hush, right? We get more adept. You're not in charge, right? I have become better, and time has passed, but when I see a cross street, when Nikki's driving and I see oh, you should see me. I'm jamming on brakes. Like I'm pushing a hole through the floor. I've gotten a little bit better. Now I just look at my phone, right? Let her do what she's going to do. But that is caution is still around us, right? And you might think that we have to practice going into that silence. And it's kind of true, but here's the thing. We don't have to practice being our sacred self. You already are. We only have to practice being aware of our sacred self. We don't have to work to experience sheer silence. We have to work to quiet the voices that would try to fill the silence with something. Right? We don't have to work and try and suffer and read books and go to workshops to be divine presence. But we may have to work and try and, if we so choose, suffer and go to workshops and read books, right? To help us trap the ego. To help us tame that again and say, okay, sit back over there. That's what I'm practicing. How do I begin to experience that level of stillness? How do I know that fullness of peace? Well, maybe we just start here. Peace is this moment without judgment. That is all. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Deb. That was awesome. So glad we got to recognize some people today. I love it when we do that because we like to begin each service in thanksgiving and end each service in gratitude.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
And
Good.
normally at this point in the service, we take a few minutes and talk about what we're grateful for, but we've got an afternoon of fun stuff, and I want to get everybody out of here before the daylight ends so that if you got any errands, you can get them run before something happens later on tonight. I don't know. But I do want to say a part A and a part B of what I am grateful for today. And the first thing that I am grateful for is that you made your divine appointment this morning and came here to let your energy play with ours. Thank you so much for being here. And part B is that I am so grateful to be a part of a spiritual community that is led from the ground up, not from some association somewhere that says, well, this Sunday is this Sunday, and this is what you need to talk about, and this is what you need to do for this or that. You are the ones that make the direction for this spiritual community, and we get to talk about that after having some great lunch today. So our visioning starts after the potluck, so please stay for that and just throw in your 2 cents, because I have a feeling that when we talk about where we want to go, it's probably going to be in a similar direction, right? Because we all have similar experiences that brought us here. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out today. So grateful for that. So let's take just a moment and look at our expenses for the week and our contributions and use that to plan out your contributions for the week to come. And let's say our offertory affirmation together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I receive. All right, let's sing I'm Grateful. I am grateful for another day of living. I'm grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. I am grateful for another day of living. I am grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. Yes, I'm grateful for the love I have to give. All right, I want to remind everybody to sign up for the What's Happening newsletter. You can do that here today outside. There's a little pad and pencil for you to write your name, or you can go to the website, sign up for that because it comes out every Tuesday and reminds you of what's happening for the week to come. And let's all stand up and say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And we let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. Let the peace. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. Let's go to joy. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. And it all comes back to love. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. Watch me. We let it be. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll take just a couple of minutes, rearrange the room for the potluck. So if you want to step outside and then come on back in about 10 minutes. Have a great week, everybody. Sorry.